So I am here on my solo trip in Turkey and I look a little wild right now because I'm sunburned, a little bit sunburned. Hopefully it will be fine tomorrow. And I'm getting ready to go out to dinner. And as I'm getting ready, I thought that it is the perfect opportunity for me to film a video because I felt inspired. And I really wanted to talk about being the main character in your brand and why so many people are not the main character in their brand and what it's costing them. You will either love this or you will hate it. And what I hate personally is that I have lost the cap on this side of my eyebrow thingy, and that is pissing me off to no end. Also, I have a pink spot from my hair dye that I can't seem to remove. What a lot of people do with their brand is they follow someone else's script, right? And then they're wondering why they're not getting the credit for it. Well, the reason you're not getting the credit for it is because you shouldn't. Because you never stood the fuck up and decided, this is my brand, this is my business, this is what I want to do with my brand and my business. And so, of course, you're not gonna get the credit. Of course, you're not gonna get the influence, the impact, etc. Because you are not the main character in your brand. I don't have my sponge or whatever it's called, my makeup sponge. So I have to do this with my finger. I forgot one of my makeup pouches back in London. Because you have unconsciously outsourced the plot to other people's expectations and to trends and to, I don't know, Instagram feeds, ideas, you've built a supporting character brand. Where are my brushes? Oh, there they are. Also, these brushes are by far the best brushes ever, but I forgot what brand they are. They're actually not expensive at all, but they're one of the most popular brands on the market, and I can tell you why, because they're fucking epic. The thing that we need to understand, especially in the era of AI where AI is replacing so many people, like, you can't even begin to understand what's about to happen. I think most people don't. Most people are treating AI like it's not a big deal. They're using it to, help them eat better, help them look better. They're using it as their therapist, etc., etc. But I don't think people, or even people in business, are truly comprehending what is about to happen. People do not buy the best solutions to their problems. That's not how this works. They buy, especially in a 2025 and post 2025 era, they buy the most interesting character solving their problem. Because there's two main reasons people buy from us in particular, right? It's who we are and how we think. And so when I say who we are, how we think is technically a part of that. But if I was to really narrow it down, it would be our personality. So I'm speaking specifically to people running personal brands. It's the personality that you have, and it is the way that you think, which is why thought leadership is a must right now. If you can't establish yourself, so if you can't establish yourself and position yourself as a thought leader, and people only see you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that is not going to be enough to survive, let alone thrive in the era of AI, which is the era that we're going to be living forever from now on. This is not going anywhere. It's not going to change. It's not going to get less. Like, there's not going to be less artificial intelligence. There's always ever going to be more from now on. It's only going to penetrate every single aspect of our lives. I mean, it pretty much already has. If not yours, then many other lives. And so this is why branding is currently the most important it's ever been. And its importance will only rise. Little did I know that when I chose branding, as ouch, I think something just got in my eye. When I chose branding as my specialization, I actually studied branding in school. I have a master's degree in this. I went to business school in Denmark for 2.5 years, if you're new here. So bottom line, what I'm trying to say is that if you want to establish yourself and if you want to establish a successful personal brand, you have to understand both the psychology and the identity of it. Oh, my phone just told me to to sit up straight. I have a reminder. My phone tells me every hour to sit up straight. Is that weird? Probably. So yeah, you have to understand the psychology, you have to understand the identity, you have to understand the architecture of how to create a successful brand that is successful long term and not just off of a trend, and high converting, of course, because as a business owner, you obviously want to build a brand that turns people who pay attention to the brand into clients and not just audience members. By the way, this palette is fucking incredible. It's from Dior and I really love it. It has all the colors that I use. I mean, I haven't tried the reddish one too much, but apparently for green eyes and red hair, it is the bomb. So, yeah, like I said, and I call this subconscious brand outsourcing. What you've done right now is you've outsourced the plot of your own brand, the plot of your own business, because you've built your brand based on what clients expect, what past mentors have modeled or told you to do or expected you to do. I don't know what your ideal client worksheet, what your 16 personalities test and human design told you to do. And nowhere in there did you actually sit down and decide for yourself what you want. Okay. And you believe you've been strategic, but what you've actually been is submissive to someone else's script. So, not even submissive in a good way. I'm feeling some sparkles. Are we feeling some sparkles? I have some right here. I think I'm gonna. Do I have my sparkle brush? I think I did not wash my face properly because I still have stuff happening from back from when I went out for lunch. Ooh, I am feeling this. I'm really feeling it. Also, I think my face is a little sunburned, so my skin is looking spicy. So, what you need right now to establish for your brand is something I call narrative authority. So, essentially, you need to establish control over the narrative arc of your brand, because if you don't, you will not be remembered. You will not be noticed. You will not be remembered, and you certainly will not be paid. I know we're going heavier on the makeup because it is dinner. So I'm feeling a sexy bit of a smoky eye, maybe. When it comes to main character energy for your brand, it's not about being loud. It's about being indispensable to your own plot. Okay, so you need three things in order to achieve that. You need your singular POV, you need your narrative arc, and you need your cultural gravity. And these are all parts of the main framework that I use to help my clients and myself build successful businesses, which is called the Audacity Method, which I'm going to talk to you about in a different video. Your singular point of view is not your niche and it's not a tagline, which is usually where people's minds go. It's actually the emotional and philosophical lens through which everything you say will be processed. I don't do mascara, by the way. This is literally just a little makeup brush, yes. The singular point of view creates instant memory structures and it also positions you as a thought leader, which what I was saying earlier, like I was saying earlier, is pretty vital right now, because if people only see you as a business owner, it's simply not going to be enough for your business to not be erased like so many other businesses are. And this is the kind of stuff that makes people want to share your message, quote you all the time, hire you, work with you, pay you, invite you, put you on their stages, etc. If you are looking for some signs right now, like, yes, Des, show me if I have a singular point of view or not. Here are some signs that you ain't got it. You say the same things as everyone else in your niche, but it's slightly changed or slightly better designed. Okay. You are designing all of your content trying to speak to your ideal clients instead of just speaking your truth. Believe it or not, it can begin with speaking your truth and the right people will be attracted to it, and so they will become your ideal clients. You are constantly in this process of tweaking your messaging based on how much engagement you're getting, based on what kind of feedback you're getting. You are only looking at the data, and data is very important. You'll never hear me say it's not. But what's more important than data is your own alignment. So if your message is not aligned with you and who you are, that's a problem, my friend. Your point of view should be like a lens flare, right? So the way it works is you see the world through it, and once your audience gets it, they can never unget it. They can never unsee it. They begin to, I wouldn't say adopt it because this isn't the code, but they begin to understand it. And what's more important, they begin to understand you better. And when you have a strong singular point of view, not only do you begin to establish yourself as a thought leader, but people can feel you before they can know more about you. So before they know any of your credentials, before they know exactly what you stand for and who you are, if they can hear you speak with conviction and passion because you have a powerful POV, that will be enough for them to want to stick around. And that's the starting point to every relationship. If you want help with creating your singular point of view, what I would say is create your what I believe manifesto, or I also call this the manifesto of your core philosophies. It is crazy how many people haven't identified, because you have core philosophies, you just haven't sat down, identified them, and figured out what they are, because they come up when you speak to people, but you have to develop this habit of actually writing them down and then consistently reminding yourself of what they are, because then they become the core, the foundation of your work as well. This is, by the way, the best highlighter I have ever had. When I tell you how fucking good this is, you will not believe it. Chanel and Dior are my absolute favorite brands, minus my new eyeliner, which, by the way, you have to oh my god, I have to tell you all about this. Wait, it's Japanese and it's called Shiseido. I don't know if you know it. It's right here for you. There you go, Shiseido. First of all, it has a curved tip. I'd never seen an eyeliner like that before. I don't need it. I've been doing my eyeliner the same way since I was 15, so I'm a pro. But for people who are not pros, this actually is apparently very, very helpful. I was on my way to Turkey. I got up, put my makeup on at 9 before I left for the airport, put this eyeliner on. I get here at 8 p.m. in the evening. They've lost my luggage, right? They couldn't locate my luggage. It was a fucking nightmare. Um, and thankfully, I am in a really nice hotel, so they took great care of me. And I had to go to sleep without washing my face. So I went to sleep with my eye makeup on, which is a disaster. I woke up the next day, it was intact. I didn't receive my suitcase until the evening. So this was on me from 9 a.m. on the 17th of July until like 9 p.m. Okay, on the 18th of July, and it did not move. It did not move. Anyway, sit down and write 10 core beliefs. These can be beliefs about your industry, your work, your clients. They can be beliefs about the world. It's part of how you see the world. So for instance, one of my biggest core belief about life and business is that 99% of all of your problems anywhere, life or business, will be solved if you learned to trust yourself more. And if you don't believe me, in the comments below, tell me what's your biggest problem in business right now. And 9 times out of 10, the solution is for you to trust yourself more, which is simple, but it's not easy. I don't mean to trivialize your problems. It's not easy to trust yourself more. These core beliefs will make people feel something. They'll create an emotional charge around your brand. Rather than you constantly creating educational content, you will now, as I said, begin to establish yourself as a thought leader, because you've actually put so much effort and so much thought into, first of all, forming and shaping these beliefs and clarifying these beliefs and making these beliefs sharper, but then also acknowledging them, like identifying them, writing them down, and really staying consistently true to them. That's a big deal. Most people don't do that. Most people don't know themselves and understand themselves at that level. To make this super clear, your singular point of view is essentially the belief system that defines your lens of leadership. So it's what makes your how, your solution, actually irrelevant, because people are already sold on you. They're sold on your core philosophies. They're sold on how you think. When people are sold on how you think, they will be sold on your solution. Remember, you have to sell people on three things. You have to sell them on yourself, you have to sell them on your idea, and you have to sell them on your solution. And we're going to talk about this in another video. Now, your narrative arc is a little bit different. So it's not, I think when most people teach this, they just teach find your why and, from trauma to triumph, from rags to riches, and that's fine. But a narrative arc doesn't have to be about all of these confessions about you achieving this and you achieving that. It's more, I see it as more of a trajectory. It's more of a strategic pattern that what it does is essentially tells your audience, this is what I've lived, this is what I know, and this is why you can trust me. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be strong. It has to be emotionally charged, and it has to be powerful, because it will position you as, sorry, you can't even see me, I'm still learning to operate this tip. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You have a dirty mind if you laughed. It makes it a little bit thicker than I would like, but I think it's cute. Oh, good. Perfectly executed. Like I said, I've been doing this since I was 15. So if you struggle with eyeliner, I really do think this one will help. It actually makes my job harder because of the curved tip, but I think for if you struggle, it will make your job easier for sure. Your narrative arc positions you as the true embodiment of your work, if that makes sense. And so, what I would suggest is that you map out the before, then the conflict, and then the rebirth journey of your core philosophy. So you don't have to even, I mean, ideally you do share something personal in there. I know some people don't want to share anything about their personal life, but you can't really build a personal brand. Keyword is personal without ever doing that. Oh my god, look at this. Look, why do you look like a Dalmatian? So map out the before, then the conflict, then the rebirth journey, and the which includes the birth of your core philosophy. So usually the narrative arc is, think of it as the path which led to you forming your top core philosophy, which in my case, for instance, is what I shared with you earlier about my belief around trust. Also, my one of my core philosophies is also about audacity and how audacity really is the key to achieving everything in life. Another core philosophy of mine is that your absolute most important asset that will serve you forever in your life and business is your personal brand. So, whichever one of these is my top one, my narrative arc is the trajectory, is the journey of how that was born. So, think about things like, what was the status quo you disrupted? What illusion did you shatter? What did you stand for? Or actually, what do you stand for now that you couldn't see before? And then find something big, a milestone that happened in your life that you had to take yourself through, willingly or unwillingly. Usually it's unwillingly, in order for this core philosophy to be born. So usually you've been on a difficult journey. We've all been through some sort of adversity that led to this happening. And then your narrative arc becomes the spine of your brand, and your content, your offers, when you get up on stage, the things you share there, everything will be anchored in a story that essentially proves to people that you are the real thing, and yet again contributes to you establishing yourself as a thought leader. So what cultural gravity is it's the emotional mass of your brand. It's the reason people remember the things that you say. It's the reason people remember my weird one-liners from my live videos that even I forget about. I cannot look at my shoulder. I'm white in my armpit. This section is white and everything else is red. What did I do? So this is the part of your brand that shapes the perception of your brand. And when you watch the other video where I'm going to discuss the audacity method, you will see how this translates to, how this connects to the big picture of creating an audacious, successful personal brand. But for now, what I will say is this is all about challenging the consensus, okay? This is about you challenging the consensus, but also elevating the conversations around you. And this is something that I always strive to do. And sometimes it will piss people off because they're not ready for the conversation to be elevated, and because it feels way more comfortable and safer for them if the conversation is not elevated. But you know what? That is not your problem. That's none of your business. Whoever wants to elevate themselves will elevate themselves. So if you want the simplest possible implementation tip here, think of content, right? Think of showing up for your brand. So I don't use the term creating content anymore. I really hate it because I think it positions the whole thing badly and it makes people feel overwhelmed and like it's a chore. And if you feel like that about content, we've got a problem, because it's the most important touch point of your brand. So try posting something just once a week that really elevates the conversation and challenges the status quo, challenges the perception. So this is what Rory Sutherland calls meaningful heresy. I really love that term. It's a thought that makes your audience reconsider how they think. So ever since I started my business in 2017, I have strived so hard to create paradigm shifts with the way I show up for my brand. And I've certainly tested boundaries and I pushed boundaries and tested my limits, and I've not always done it in the best or most effective way, but we live and we learn. The beautiful thing about it is that you're not just showing up for your brand to sell, you're not just showing up for your brand to bring clients on board. You're showing up for your brand because it's bigger than you, because what you say will mean something and it will create ripples. So essentially, cultural gravity is when your audience can't really make a decision in your category. Like, say, my category, for instance, is branding, right? People can't make a decision in your category without thinking about you and your brand. The reason people don't usually have cultural gravity is because they confuse performance with presence. They will overproduce, for instance. They will post every single day, but the brand doesn't really have any internal weight. It only has external weight. There's no internal law that governs how the brand behaves in the world, if that makes sense. And when your brand lacks gravity, your content can't really stay afloat despite how much volume it has. Oh my god, I ordered this blush. So I have two blushes depending on what color I am, because I get spray tans. Currently I'm trying to replace them with an actual tan. When I'm spray tanned, some things look better on me. So this is for when I'm not tanned. And when it arrived, it's from Dior, obviously. And when it arrived, I was terrified. I was like, do I look like Barbie to you? I've not looked like Barbie in 10 years, since I was platinum blonde and wore pink lip gloss. So yeah, this scared me a little bit. But it doesn't look like that when I put it on, thankfully. So to begin to implement this, think about implementing some cultural laws that your brand lives by, and then start to embed them everywhere. See, it doesn't look like that. It's just a really nice pale pink on the cheek. Thank God. So a cultural law is essentially a bold belief that will govern things like your tone or even how you price your offers. How does the singular POV differ from cultural gravity? So the singular POV is essentially how you interpret the world. Now, cultural gravity is more like the effect, okay? So it's how your presence shapes the perception, how people perceive your brand. So it's not about just what you say. It's about what sticks, what spreads, what changes how people act or think after you've already left the room, after they've read your post, okay? So it's what makes your presence linger. So it's not just your core belief. Cultural gravity is much bigger than that. It's actually your cultural imprint. So your singular POV is your worldview. It's the cause. Your cultural gravity is the aftershock. And if you struggle with the cultural laws, and if they feel too similar to the POV, what you can instead try to do is create one brand signature that really sticks in people's minds. So this can be a recurring phase, this can be a metaphor, it can be I have these annoying little pimples here that piss me off. These can be a recurring phase, a metaphor, a positioning lens, a sort of visual pattern, like maybe there's something in your graphics. And this is something that you are, this concealer is wild. They're gone. So you'll be repeating this everywhere, in your content, in your offers, in your visuals, on stage, in your delivery, in your paid offers. And eventually your audience is going to start repeating it back to you. So my audience is constantly repeating things back to me. I talk about audacity a lot, for instance, and they're constantly repeating things back to me. Like, you got to be more audacious. You got to be more audacious. They're constantly telling me, yes, I know, Des. The solution to this problem is in me trusting myself more. Yes, I know, Des, my brand is my most powerful asset. Yes, I know, Des, I need stronger activation points. Yes, I know, Des, my origin story. I need to nail my origin story. So these things are things that I'm constantly repeating, that they're not a POV. Your POV, your core philosophies, is the lens which you speak from. And it's what shapes your tone of content. I need to go and fix my hair. This is a nightmare. It shapes the tone of your content. It shapes the frameworks that you build. It shapes how you see problems and how you propose solutions. So it's all of that. Whereas the cultural gravity is more of the external effect that you have on people. Let me go fix this. That's better. We'll put some dry shampoo in it later, fix it up completely. So yeah, cultural gravity is the external effect that then your POV, your core beliefs, your worldview has on people. So again, it's not what you say, it's what sticks with your audience long after they hear it. It's things that get repeated again and again because they've had an actual impact on the culture, let's say. You find that when your clients are adopting the things that you say, the framework that you teach, the process that you've taken them through into their own lives or into their own businesses or with their own clients. You find that you have this when people are quoting things back to you or even just quoting you, period. Sometimes even without credit. Yeah, I know it can sting sometimes, but that actually is a sign that you are doing the right thing. Oh shit, I dropped my lip pencil. This is probably the most chaotic video I've ever done. But you know, chaos is my middle name lately, so whatever. So to begin to wrap this up, you're gonna have to wait because I'm putting lip pencil on and it's very hard to talk. If your brand isn't turning your presence into money and impact right now, it's probably because you're missing the 6 vital pillars that I have identified as part of my Audacity method. As a recap, where's my lipstick? Your singular POV is the lens that makes your work undeniably yours, is the lens through which you see the world. Your narrative arc is the signal that says, I am the embodiment of this work. I am the real deal. Okay. And then the cultural gravity is the aftershock that makes your brand impossible to ignore and turns your brand into an actual movement. Contributes to that anyway. So when you lock these in, you're not just liked and followed and engaged with. People respect you. People choose you. People want to work with you. Dior, baby. They too should make me a brand ambassador. Is there anyone here who would like to be my agent and start bringing me brand deals? Because I used to have one and I got some pretty cute brand deals. My cat also, they have, Sushi had multiple brand deals actually. So this is the full outfit. It's missing the sparkle, which I'm gonna slather all over myself because we gotta be sparkly, like Twilight. The worst movie ever made, by the way. We gotta be sparkly. And I think I'm gonna throw in a pair of heels because I'm feeling myself today. And when you're feeling yourself, heels make you feel yourself even more. Also, if you are still here after all of that, you are most definitely disturbed. You are a very disturbed person. You should be ashamed of yourself, and we are a match made in heaven, baby. So hit subscribe, because since you're here anyway, you're gonna want to stay here. Okay, bye. Ow! Oh my god, I almost just died.